Here's a little tip about visualization. Everybody is pretty pretty well versed in visualization because we all daydream, and that's nothing new. That's normal. So you know how to use your imagination and dream about what could happen. Visualization is not much more than that, except it's directed. That's the important point. You take conscious control instead of just following where your mind wanders, as in a daydream. So it's the same creative force, subconscious, that bubbles up into consciousness, but you use your consciousness to direct it. And so let's talk about what the starting point is for visualization. And we won't go any further than that, but there's a lot to it, but let's start right. So you're going to visualize a skill like the bench press. I've done that quite a bit. So you have to visualize as many things as you can about it. You have to not just sort of see it in your mind and sort of have an image of it. You have to make a movie of it in your mind. And you're the director. And you got to do everything right. You cannot visualize anything incorrectly. If you are going through a visualization, bringing the bar down to your chest and then pushing it back up, for example, and you for some reason get to the bottom of your chest and for some reason you don't visualize the bar in the right touch point on your chest, you got to stop and start over. You can't just pick it up and do it right from there. You got to start at the beginning and go back. The people that are the best and the most accomplished at visualization are very adamant about that. You can't see anything wrong. And if you do, you got to go back and erase it and you got to start over. So you have to create a very detailed picture. You got to direct a movie that is loaded with details. So there's a lot that you could do wrong, and that means you're going to have to start over a lot. It is very difficult to get through almost the simplest of things in great enough detail for it to be useful to you. It won't be useful if you don't put enough details in it. If you sort of just see yourself lifting the weight and you sort of see yourself, benching 500, that's not the same as seeing yourself walk over to the plate rack and put each of the plates on the bar and chalk your hands and. It has to be detailed and it has to go correctly. So you have to be prepared and willing to start over many, many, many times, which is good. That's not a bad thing. By the time you finally get to a start to finish of a particular skill, think of how many times you got however far you got correctly. And then you get to do it again and do it again. So that's like practice. That's like hitting 1,000 golf balls. There's nothing wrong with doing it again and again and again correctly. The goal isn't to just see it once and then you're done. The goal is to make it real to your subconscious, see it so clearly that your mind thinks you're doing it. And it's okay to start over again. So when I first started this practice, I was very frustrated by how hard it was for me to stay concentrated on a very detailed bench press. The setup, just getting my hands right and my body right in my mind and bringing the bar out on the lift off and taking my breath and all the way till it locks out and I get the white lights, the rack signal. It took me forever. It took a very, 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 very long time for me to be able to go from start to finish with no mistakes over and over again. But all those times I was making the mistakes and having to start over, frustrating as it was more practice. I was getting better and better at doing it, and I would get further and further and further down the line. And what was happening was my concentration was improving with practice. So you have to do your skill mentally in your mind. You have to direct the picture. You can't allow any mistakes. Those you have to yell cut as a director and start over. Got to start the scene again. You have to be successful. You can never imagine yourself doing it wrong. That's like practicing the wrong thing. And you have to have enough patience and you have to develop the concentration to get from to start to finish, zero mistakes with tons and tons of details. So that sounds overwhelming at first, and it is. Even the smallest, shortest thing, like hitting a golf ball. It takes a long time to do your swing right in your mind without being distracted, seeing something you're not supposed to see, imagining something you're not supposed to imagine, forgetting where you are and thinking about something else, letting other thoughts intrude. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. But every time you start over, think of it as, okay, I get an opportunity to practice this again and do it better. And I promise you that sooner or later, you'll be able to do it from start to finish with as great a detail as you can come up with. So there's where you start with visualization. You start by taking charge and being a director, allowing zero mistakes, going from start to finish without a stop. You can't just get halfway, make a mistake, and then pick up and do the other half. For some reason, it just doesn't work. Our brain does things in chunks. Our subconscious does, at least. And it has to go from start to finish correctly, or it doesn't count. And these aren't my rules. These are what everybody says who's good at it, who really is good at it. And I agree. And so you have to start to finish, no mistakes, be a director, and you have to be as detailed as you can. Those are the beginner's rules for visualization. Um, so take your years and years and years of daydreaming practice and healthy imagination and put it to some good use in pursuing your goals.